A very warm welcome back to our English programming here on Nile TV International. You're watching news. It's 8 p.m. here in the Egyptian capital, and I'm your host, Nancy Sarah Barakat. Let's start off with the headlines. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi begins a two-day visit to Portugal. Syrian family pupils among dozens killed in Aleppo attacks. And in India, at least 120 people killed in train derailment. Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has arrived in Portugal to begin the first visit by an Egyptian head of state in 24 years. Ahead of the visit, a Portuguese news agency conducted an interview with the president, where he talked about the latest developments in the country as well as a number of regional and international issues. Touching on U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, al-Sisi said that inflammatory statements made by him during his campaign trail do not necessarily reflect the actions that he will take as president. Al-Sisi went on to say that one shouldn't jump to conclusions or worry about future U.S. actions or policies in the Middle East. The president also noted that Trump would, without a doubt, make a strong leader, adding that he believed that Trump would be vigorously engaged with the issues in the region. Speaking about the economic situation, al-Sisi said that his administration is committed to safeguarding low-income bracket citizens against the recent economic reforms announced by the government. In other local news, Minister of Interior Magdi Abdel Ghaffar called for intensifying security across the country's new cities and deserted areas. He was speaking during a meeting with his assistants from various security sectors, as well as officials from the national security apparatus. The minister went on to stress the importance of expanding security campaigns to face criminal challenges in those areas. Head of the journalist syndicate, Yahya Khallash, has expressed his confidence in the Egyptian judiciary, stressing his commitment to its rulings. This came during an urgent meeting of the syndicate's board that was held earlier today. During the meeting, Khallash and two journalists decided to appeal the two-year jail term on the £10,000 bail that was handed out to them yesterday. The verdict was issued in absentia. To Syria now, where the foreign minister said that his nation will not accept a UN proposal to recognize an autonomous rebel administration in East Aleppo as part of a truce deal. Walid al-Muallim said Damascus could not agree to the deal floated by the UN's peace envoy Staffan de Mistura, who held talks in Syria today aimed at reducing violence in the second city of Aleppo. De Mistura's visit comes as the Syrian government presses a fierce assault on the rebel held east of the city. UN envoy recently floated a proposal to hold fighting in the city, under which insurgent forces would leave and the government would recognize the occupation administration in the city's east. Several rounds of internationally sponsored dialogue sessions and peace talks have already failed to move the government and rebels closer to a peaceful resolution of the conflict. De Mistura was holding additional meetings and said he expected to issue a statement later in the day. And to tell us more about President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's visit to the Portuguese capital, Lisbon, we're being joined now live by Nile TV's correspondent Linda Abdel Latif. Linda.
Good evening, Nancy.
A very good evening to you. Could you tell us a little bit about what's going to be on the President's agenda?
Well, Nancy, a while ago, President Abdel Fattah
al-Sisi arrived in the Portuguese capital, Lisbon, where he was received by the Portuguese Defense Minister, the advisor of the Portuguese President for International Relations, the advisor of the Portuguese Prime Minister for Diplomatic Affairs, as well as the Egyptian ambassador to Portugal and the Portuguese ambassador to Egypt. Now, let me just tell you that today, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi will be having an interview interview with the head of the news of the Portuguese public television RTP, and he will be starting off his official activities tomorrow. Now, this visit is a very historical one because, as you know, this is the first Egyptian presidential visit to Portugal since 24 years. So you can imagine how this is a historical one and will be a quantum leap in the bilateral relations between both countries, especially that both countries indeed have strong relations on all levels, and also they have convergence of views on regional and international issues, especially that both countries have been active parties in the Barcelona process, in the Union of the Mediterranean, in the African-European dialogue, and in the Mediterranean Forum as well. So also both countries also share the interest in attaining stability and security in the world in general and the region in particular, and that is one of the things that we've seen during the visit of the Portuguese Foreign Minister last June to the country, where he met with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, and one of the main issues were the of safety and security. Now, also both countries are planning to cooperate and push forward cooperation in the fields of economy, scientific research, as well as the defense field. And also both countries aim at enhancing the diplomatic and political relations. Now, the trade exchange between both countries in 2015 went up by 38% to reach 200 million euros, and this visit comes in order to even increase that trade exchange. Now, just to give you an overview of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's official activities that will be starting tomorrow. Now, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, first of all, will be heading to the Jerónimos Cathedral, where he will be received by the Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, where the welcoming ceremony will be taking place. Now, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi will be also heading to a number of different places, and also a number of other welcoming ceremonies will be taking place as well at those places. Now, the President will also be heading to the De Belay Palace, where he will be having a joint meeting with the Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa that will be followed by an expanded meeting that will be attended by officials from both sides. There will be a joint press conference for both leaders, and also the activities of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi tomorrow will include a visit to the headquarters of the Portuguese Foreign Ministry, where he will be meeting with the Portuguese Prime Minister António Costa, and will also include there an expanded meeting that will be attended by officials from both countries as well. Now, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi also will be heading quarter of the mayor of Lisbon, and there he will be delivering a speech. The president will also, his activities will include as well a visit to the Dajuda Palace, where he and the Portuguese president will be delivering speeches as well. Now, also on Tuesday, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi will be meeting with a number of businessmen, and he will also be visiting the headquarters of the Portuguese Parliament, where he will be actually delivering a speech as well during, not at the Parliament, but during a meeting that will be attended, where he will be heading there to the military academy. There he will be participating in, let's say, a conference on security and terrorism, and in this conference he will be delivering a speech. Now, President Abdel Fattah will be also, let's say, heading to a company that specializes in the air and military industries. Those are all the activities that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi will be participating in during his official visit to Portugal.
Linda, let me ask you, you spoke a little bit about economic cooperation. You mentioned that quite often during your briefing, but I wanted to know what areas of economic cooperation should we expect discussions to center around?
Well, I did an interview a while ago with the Egyptian Minister of Trade and Industry, Engineer Tariq Qabil, and he said that they are looking forward to increasing or exchanging between each other. Now, Egypt excels in the leather field, and the number of leather that has been exported to Portugal is high. So there is cooperation in that field, and in regards to the trade exchange, they are working on increasing that, especially that both countries indeed have a lot of promising resources. Egypt have a strategic location, and as engineer Tariq Qabil has told me, Egypt is a promising portal, or is a promising gateway for the Portugal's exports to the different African countries. So Portugal is reaching the African countries through Egypt, and Egypt is reaching the European countries through Portugal. Now, putting into consideration as well, Nancy, that both countries actually share cultural and civilizational interactions in light of their geographical proximity, and also in light of their, let's say, they've always shared interests at several stages of history, especially that the Arab